Don't miss any content. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell.
After the exploits of Morocco in 1986, Tunisia in 1978, and Cameroon in 1990, Pele, the Brazilian, said that an African team would win the World Cup by the year 2000. We are in 2020 and no African team has won it yet. Today I'll be looking at why an African team has not won the World Cup yet, and it's down to two main factors in my opinion. As usual, if you're new to the channel, I'll advise you to subscribe to the channel and to click on the notification bell to get more updates. So let's jump right into it. The World Cup over the years has been a tournament that has involved countries from around the world. In the first ever World Cup, the winner was Uruguay. Now, Africa has had a bad representation at this tournament, and that will be one of the reasons why I think we haven't won the World Cup before. If you go back into time, in 1930, 13 countries took part in the World Cup and Africa was not part. In 1934, Africa took part in the World Cup for the very first time. The Egyptians took part in the World Cup. The next time the Egyptians in particular would take part in the World Cup was in 1990, and the next time an African country would take part in the World Cup was in 1970. So the World Cup for the next 4 to 5 editions did not involve an African country after the 1934 edition. In 1970, Africa had its representative in Morocco. Out of 16 participants, 1 representative from Africa. In 1974, out of 16 participants, 1 representative, and that was from Zaire, now called DR Congo. 1 out of 16. In 1978, we had 1 representative as well in Tunisia, and that was an amazing performance by Tunisia in the World Cup. And that was one of the reasons why Pele thought by the year 2000 an African country would win the World Cup. In 1982, it was expanded and we had 2 representatives from Africa out of 24 participating countries. In 1986, 24 countries, 2 representatives in Algeria and Morocco. For the first time, Cameroon took part in the World Cup in 1990, and that was with Egypt, also with 24 countries participating. In 1994, Cameroon represented again, along with Nigeria and Morocco, 3 out of 24 participants. In 1998, the tournament was expanded to a 32-team tournament, and for the first time, Africa had 5 representatives. I think you are getting where I'm going with this. The odds have not been in our favor. Out of 32 countries, we have 5 representatives from Africa currently in the World Cup. It was only in 2010 when we had a host in South Africa that Africa had the highest number of participants in the World Cup. Probability, we are not likely to win with such numbers. Yes, South America and other continents have not had the same high numbers as Europe, who on an average have 13 teams participating in the World Cup. Now, this is a numbers game, and if a continent has at least 13 countries participating in a World Cup out of 32 participants, that's a really high possibility. They make up almost half of the countries participating in that World Cup. And that is the third reason why we have not won the World Cup, and that is the numbers do not back us. The statistics do not back us. We don't have enough numbers taking part in a World Cup to win it. It's as simple as that. The numbers don't help us. The numbers are not in our favor. The odds are not in our favor, and until they are, it will take a while for everyone to expect Africa, or for Africa to actually lift the World Cup. There's another argument that, hey guys, Brazil is in South America and they have also 5 teams. I'll be going to that very soon, and as to why Brazil and other continents are winning the World Cup and Africa is not. Recently, there was a proposal by FIFA to expand the 2022 tournament to a 48-team tournament. You know, that way Africa would have 9 representatives. I mean, in the future, it hosted the World Cup, it would have in the end 10 representatives. That would increase our odds, but when we are going to 10, then the other continents are also increasing. So eventually we are not favored in that rate. Africa have amazing talent in world football. They have so many amazing players. In Europe, they have mastered the art of playing the World Cup. They have played the World Cup since the 1930s, representing on average of 10 to 11 teams taking part in that tournament. That is the second reason why Africa has not won the World Cup and why countries like Brazil have won the World Cup. Brazil have taken part in almost every edition of the World Cup, and so the experience is there. That is reason number 2, experience. Those countries, those continents have experience in the tournament since the 1930s. Uruguay have won it before. They've won it twice, beating Brazil in the home ground of Brazil in the final of the tournament. As we all know this saying, the Brazilians perfected football, English founded it. Football is a foreign sport to Africa. You have to be honest. It has not been a sport that originated from Africa. So playing in a tournament that is hosted and planned by those in the continent of Europe and South America, I don't see how Africa is going to win the World Cup. Experience is an important factor in the World Cup, and if you look at the history of the Black Stars in particular, which I've talked about, you would know that the World Cup is something, and tournaments take an experience and a certain amount of pedigree. We hired coaches from Europe at that time who were the best, the creme de la creme, to help our players reach the highest of highs. And I think there is no escaping the fact that the originator of something can't be the one who controls it in the end. And the World Cup is something which I really want Africa to win, but there is so much work we have to do since we don't have the numbers and we don't have the experience. If Africa wants to win the World Cup, we will have to stop making excuses as well. What I'm saying right now can be thought of to be an excuse as to why we've not won the World Cup, but it is a fact that if the numbers on the odds are not in your favor, you cannot win a tournament. It's as simple as that. But then again, that doesn't mean that it is impossible. It just means we need to work harder. Planning and continuity in African football is not something that is taking priority. Only few countries in Africa plan for at least in football for the next 10 to 15 years. Let's go into the various federations of African football and see which countries have a plan, football associations have a plan for the next 10 to 15 years. It starts from the bottom and it starts from the court football. When the Germans lost the World Cup final in 2002, they started planning from that point, developing talent until they won it in 2014. It is something that takes time, that takes meticulous and intentional planning. Winning the World Cup is possible, but until we understand that we need to work really hard, we need so much work to go into it, and we need to be focused and know that it is not going to fall on our laps. Even if we are giving 100 participants in the World Cup, if we don't have experience and if we don't plan and if we don't have the right talents and hold it well and have important structures in place for the next generation of players, it is going to be a waste. We need to plan intentionally. It has to be intentional. It is not something that just happens. So many countries have done it. They can do it here in Africa. Brazil has a system in place for honing talents and selling it to the rest of the world. That is why they are the most successful country in the World Cup history. In the World Cup history, we have 20 editions of the World Cup, and 11 of them have come from Europe. 9 of them have come from South America, that's including Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay. And there is no way you can tell me that because of numbers and experience, they will continue to win it. Yes, it is a given that because Europe has the numbers and experience. Also, South America has the experience. Africa has none of those two. So we have to put in all the hard work and plan meticulously. If we need to go back and learn from those in Europe and see how they've done it, let's do that. So today I've been talking to you about why Africa has not won the World Cup. 2 things: numbers and experience. They have not been in our favor. Odds have never been in our favor, and I don't think they are going to be in our favor anytime soon. What we have to use now is the experience we are garnering from taking part in every edition of the World Cup and pass it on to the next generation. We need to plan for the next generation of talent, and have the necessary resources in place that will prepare them for tournaments like the World Cup. I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know your thoughts on why you think Africa has not won the World Cup yet. Am I right? Do you agree with me? Or I'm just talking nonsense? Your thoughts are welcome in the comments box. I'll see you guys in the next one. Enjoy your day.